Have you ever tried to read a JSON file into a Pandas data frame only to be met with an error? It's frustrating, right? If that's you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're tackling the value error expected object or value when reading JSON as a Pandas data frame. I understand how annoying it can be when you're trying to work with data and you hit a wall with errors. You're not alone in this. Many people face similar issues when dealing with JSON files in Python. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user tried to read a JSON file and encountered the error, value error expected object or value. They also faced a JSON decode error with extra data. Sound familiar? Let's dig into this together and find a solution. So, what could be causing these errors? The issue often arises from improperly formatted JSON data. We'll break it down step by step so you can understand what's going wrong. And don't go anywhere. I've got a pro tip at the end that will help you avoid these errors in the future. To begin resolving the user's issue, we need to ensure that the JSON data is formatted correctly. The user should check if the JSON file contains multiple JSON objects without being wrapped in an array. Next, if the JSON data is indeed multiple objects, the user should modify the JSON file to wrap the objects in square brackets. This will allow Pandas to read the data correctly. After adjusting the JSON format, the user can read the JSON file into a Pandas data frame using the read_JSON function. This should work without errors now. If the user still encounters issues, they can try reading the JSON file line by line and appending each object to a list before converting it to a data frame. Finally, the user should verify that the data frame is created successfully by checking its contents. This can be done using the head function to display the first few rows. Did you know? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's one of the most popular data formats for APIs. It's like the universal language of data. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. One user encountered the same error and found that the issue was due to the text file's encoding being UTF-8 BOM instead of the standard UTF-8. They resolved this by specifying the encoding when reading the JSON file. That's it for that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative solution from a user suggests an issue that they may not be with the JSON format itself. They recommend adding an R to the open function to specify that the file is read-only. This could help resolve the value error when reading the JSON file into a Pandas data frame. Now, let's dive into a different answer from another user. An alternative solution from a user highlights that the issue may stem from the JSON file containing invalid syntax. Specifically, they found that using single quotes instead of double quotes in one of the values caused the error. That's the end of that answer. Let's see another perspective. An alternative solution provided by a user suggests simplifying your file path to make it easier to read the data. They recommend placing your JSON file directly on your desktop and using that path to access the data, which should resolve the issue. That's all for that response. Let's see what someone else had to say. An alternative solution provided by a user suggests changing the file path from a relative to an absolute path. They recommend modifying your code to specify the absolute path to the JSON file. The user mentions encountering the same error when switching from Jupyter Notebook to PyCharm's console, highlighting that this path adjustment can help resolve the issue. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always validate your JSON data before trying to read it into Pandas. This simple step can save you a lot of headaches. And there you have it. You should now be able to read your JSON data into Pandas without any issues. Remember, validating your data is key. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our bonus pro tip on handling JSON data.